How about you? I'm Hank. Welcome to Hamiltonville Farm. Man, I've got a treat for you guys today. I'm telling you what, I've got a new toy for old Brutus the Branson. So let's go ahead. Let me tell you what it is. Let me tell you all about it, and then let's see it in action. All right, let's go. This is the new front mounted brush cutter that I got from King Welding and Fab out of Marble, Minnesota. It's 218-256-9418 is their telephone number. Let me tell you a little bit about it because it is awesome. So first of all, about the business. The business is owned by Darrin King, and him and his son are the two guys that build these front mounted brush cutters. They make a few things up there, him and his son. They make these front brush cutters, they make service truck beds, anything to do with steel welding and fabrication these guys make. A real small outfit out of Minnesota, like I said earlier. Just a pleasure to talk to and do business with. I saw Darrin make a post on Facebook about his brush cutter, and so I said, you know what, dude, this looks like something I really need down here at Hamiltonville Farm. And so we got in contact, and he made me a really good deal on this. And in exchange, I told him, I said, let me put it on some videos. Let me show the people what it's about. Let me tell the people about it. And so that's what we're trying to do with this video. I'm telling you, the guy's just a class act. He's a really nice guy. But let's talk about the cutter and how good and how well built it is. I will say this, I've got about 30 minutes of actual work time on it. So we're going to actually get some more seat time with the cutter on the tractor itself. And I'll tell you some of the things. I already found out some things that I want to discuss about it. And hopefully it will answer some of the questions you may have. So let's talk about some of the specifics of it and what you can expect if you call King Welding and Fabrication and see if you can get you a front mounted brush cutter for your tractor. Okay, the deck plate here is a 3/16 grade 50 steel. That's what you'll get across the top of it. All the welds, he actually knows what he's doing with his welding machine. He's a little better than I am at it. They have the 6-inch structural channel here for the side. Of course, that's steel. And then the attached plates are 5/16 steel. The tubing that you see right up there is 2x2, and the inside of them are 1/8 inch thick. That's the thickness of the walls of the tubing. The motor on the front is the old gear rotor series. That's a 2000 hydraulic series, and that's what he puts on top. The thing about these gear motors that he puts on here is he matches the machine and the flow and the pressure to the motor. So if you call him and you say, hey, I've got a Branson 5220 and it's got 55 horsepower out of it, or I've got a John Deere 1025R. Can you imagine putting one of these on a 1025? But you know, hey, I've got a John Deere 3 Series, or I've got, you know, a Mahindra 4540, whatever the case may be, what he'll do is he will match the motor head that's on the brush cutter or the front mounted brush cutter, and he'll match that to the tractor and the horsepower that you have. The one I have here is a 4-foot standard duty one. I think, and don't quote me, I'll tell you his website here in a sec, but I think he goes up to 6-foot wide commercial grade. But he does them for tractors and skid steers. So maybe the 6 foot's for skid steers. I'm not sure. You just have to go to his website and double check on that. But this is a 4-foot one. This is the standard duty model, so I'm not going to be cutting down 4-inch trees with it or whatever. But let me tell you a little bit more about the cutter, and let me show you what I've done on it so far. So the mini tractor drive system that they have on this one is rated for 50 hydraulic horsepower and nearly 400 foot-pounds of torque. The blade carrier that is 1/2 inch thick and grade 50 plate. The blades that are on the bottom, and I'll raise it up here in a minute, you have 2 blades on the bottom, and they're forged, so they're strong, but they're still flex, and I'll show you what they look like here at the bottom. And the good thing about it is the brush cutters come with a 1-year parts warranty, and it covers everything but damage caused by rocks and hydraulic hoses. So look at the hoses as well. You know, these are good solid hoses here. He wraps them well. It came shipped on a pallet, and it was very secure on the pallet, so the shipping was good. And the shipping weight of the pallet was I want to say it was like 320 pounds, something like that. So the motor head's probably a little over 300 pounds for this 4-foot wide standard duty ones. But Darrin can tell you all the specs. If you want bigger, wider, heavier commercial grade ones, he can tell you all that as well. Let's look at some of the stuff I've cut this morning. So I've been working down here this morning, And this is all just tall grass. This is nothing, I mean, you could bush hog this easy. So it wasn't really challenging per se for the brush cutter, but it done a good job on it. This is just piled up where I pushed it with a bucket. But over here, I got closer to the trees, and I've got these saplings, these yo palms that I had to take care of. And that's probably in the 2-inch category on these particular yo palms here. So it'll do it if you're really careful. I'm trying not to beat and bang it up too bad, but you know, on just the grass stuff and this type of stuff, it's pretty simple. I mean, that's 1/2-inch stuff right there, maybe 1 inch. Let's go see some more stuff. This was just grass here. You can see I've got it all knocked down. It done a number on the grass, so nothing cosmic here. Then some more of these yo ponds that are 3/4, 1 inch. No issues there whatsoever. But let me tell you some things that I've learned about it so far. Some of the things that I've learned so far is you probably would want a true third function valve on your tractor. Right now I've got a diverter valve, so I've got to depress my trigger and then pull my joystick to the left, and that actuates the blades. Speaking of actuating the blades, it will only go one way. So on my particular case, if I move it to the left, it turns the blades. If I move it to the right, the blades don't turn. And so that's how they work. So if you put your hoses on and it doesn't work one way, swap your hoses out and it'll work. In reality, I want it to go to the left because that's more of a natural position for my hand, you know, to go to the left versus trying to hold it out to the right, which is probably a little more taxing on my wrist and my hand. So you definitely just want to push it on the inside there. But anyway, with that being said, I can only raise and lower the brush cutter while I've got it actuated, while the blades are spinning. I can't actually curl it or sweep it, if you will. So if I go up to a tree that's, let's say it's 8-9 foot tall, and I've got the loader on it, I have to make sure that the cutter is kind of like this, and then I can lower it down onto the actual debris or brush or tree that I want to try to take care of with the blade, as opposed to kind of just going up to it and sweeping down onto it, because I can't use that curl function while I've got the blades actuated. You're going to want a third function if you're going to want to use the curl features and the raise lower features on the loader arms itself. That would probably make it a lot better. Now you're probably asking yourself, what about the hydraulic flow? If you remember earlier, I talked about him matching the motor head to the tractor. Well, my tractor has 11.1 gallons per minute flow on the Branson 5220. So he matched that, and I think, and I want to say this is 10 gallons per minute, and so my 11.1 handles it quite well. I'm still learning the actual cutter itself, but it's been really, really good so far. You have to depress the trigger, pull the joystick to the left, allow it time to spin up, and then go cut your brush or whatever. I say allow it time, you know, 1.5 seconds, 3 seconds, whatever it is. I mean, it ain't like an eternity or whatever. But you do have to let it, because as soon as you release the button, the blades stop spinning, and you've got to go ahead and reactuate the blades by depressing that button and moving your joystick. So on the Branson 5220, the hydraulic pumps are located right here. So when I was cutting this morning, I got out about every 5-10 minutes or whatever, and I put the back of my hand up to the pump to make sure I could feel it if it was getting hot, and it wasn't. It wasn't getting hot at all. I could lay my hand on it and not get burnt. So I was really kind of worried about it wasn't going to overheat my pumps. But let me tell you why I don't think you're going to have a problem with that. The reason I don't think you're going to have a problem with it is because you're not going to be working in these big 2-minute, 3-minute, 5-minute long stretches. You're really going to be working in 30-second, 60-second burst. And what I mean by that is you're going to actuate the blades if you have a diverter valve like me. Now, it may be different with a third function. I'll have to research that. I actuate the blades, I go up, I make my cut, I come back. This is not a bush hog. I'm not gonna be cutting a pasture with it. I'm not going to be cutting fields with it. This is for clearing underbrush and things that I can't get to with my bush hog, or it's more suitable for this type of cutter. So that's the reason why I don't think that you're going to have a problem overheating your hydraulic pump, because it's like, for some of my military friends, it's like the cannon on the A-10, right? It's short burst, right? So I'm using this thing in 30-second burst, 60-second burst to make my cut. What we're going to do now, I'm going to try to get the drone thrown up, see if I can get you some good God's eye view footage of it cutting. I'll get some footage of it from inside the cab, outside the cab, and we'll actually see this thing work, go from there, and then we'll talk about it here at the end. So let's go ahead and get this thing fired up and see what it actually does. Alright, let's see what this thing does cutting here. I've been running about 2,500 RPMs. It does great on this kind of easy stuff here. Still got it actuated. Okay, I've let go of the actuator. Okay, right now I've got the brush cutter about 3 feet off the ground, and I'm going to take my right hand on my joystick, actuate. You can see if we can watch the brush cutter head bounce a little bit. Okay, now the blades are spinning, and now let me rev it up here. Now the blades are spinning, so now I'm just going to go easy into the tall brush. This stuff is probably 1/2 inch. Nothing major. But what I can do is I can lower, in this easy stuff I can lower the cutter head, but I can't curl it. On my tractor I can't curl it because I don't have a true third function. Now I go back. Doing pretty good there. I seen a stump. So here's what the bottom side looks like. Nice and flat on the deck here. 2 blades. This is the forged blades. Got gusset plates in the bottom here. It's also got gusset plates on the top. But let's take a look at what it actually done while it cut here. Man, that looks pretty good, don't it? It does a really, really good job. You just have to remember to keep your blades actuated via your joystick. That's really the only thing that I have to get used to as an operator, is what I'll find myself doing, and this is, you know, this is just having to learn the actual implement itself, is I'll notice that I've got the trigger actuated and turned to the left, the blades will start running. Well, then eventually, you know, I slowly, without realizing it, get back to center on my joystick, which takes away the flow, the hydraulic flow, so now my blades aren't spinning. So I got to remember to keep pressure to the left side while I'm cutting. When I first got it, I thought, well, you know, that might be cumbersome or whatever, but it's not. You just have to remember to do it, and you know, until you forget. And it's kind of self-critiquing, because you're like, why ain't this thing cutting grass, or why ain't this thing cutting brush? Well, dummy, you got the doggone joystick in the center position, or you've let go of the button. It ain't the implement's fault. So that looked pretty good, right? Now let's fill this hydraulic pump here. So I can still touch that. It's not hot to touch at all. And this is unedited. I haven't let the tractor cool or nothing like that. You can still see this stuff floating around. I don't think I'm running the risk of making my hydraulic fluid foam up, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Let's take a look at what I cut here. This is probably the thickest piece I cut right here. I would say that's in the 2-inch range, right at it anyway. And I don't think I'd want to go much more than that. But this stuff right here all day long, I mean, it just eats it. Let it eat, as they say. Let's see some more stuff back here. Yeah, so I was, you know, as I start to get into this kind of stuff, I'm obviously not going to try to tackle that. And look at this piece right here. Yeah, maybe I'd try it if I had a little more proficiency, but I think I'll leave that alone. But so you can see it chops up pretty good stuff here. So we've done this little lane here. I need to clear that up. And then this little patch here and through here. So you can see there's a lot of utility. There's a lot of functionality in this little 4-foot standard duty cutter head that I've got here from King Welding and Fabrication. Let's actually take it down into the woods. Let's see how it does in some different type of terrain. Right now we're just cutting yopons and stuff, so let's go down into the woods. Let's see how it does in other type of conditions. That's the word I was looking for, conditions. So let's go check it out. Let's see how it does. I will say this though, there's a lot of different styles of front mounted brush covers out there. I wanted one that did not articulate, and yeah, that's a big word for a guy like me, right? But I wanted one that was mounted to the front end loader. I didn't want one that stuck. I read too many horror stories about things that are stuck off to the side, either getting caught on a stump or a limb or something like that. And so I just didn't, you know, I just didn't feel like that was something I needed down here on our property. I felt like this is a better choice, being just stationary, I guess you'd say. But something else about it is he builds these things so that if I was to get stuck, I could no kidding dig this in and push myself out like I would a bucket or a grapple or something like that, and I don't have to worry about the head of it coming off. I don't have to worry about damaging the motor or something like that, because that's how he builds them, designed for that particular reason. He's like, listen, I've got my tractor stuck so many times, I needed something that's going to get me out. And so when he built these, he built them sturdy enough to help you push back if you get stuck. You can't do that with those articulating ones. And so you weigh the pros and cons and see if that's something that you have to have. I didn't have to have it. I didn't think I needed it. And I'm really digging this so far with just the few hours of use I've gotten out of it so far. Let's get down to the woods. Let's see what it does. Something you have to be cognizant of is the fact that I've got a cab on the tractor, right? So I go in there tearing through some underbrush, and all of a sudden I've broke my glass or something. That wouldn't be good. Let's go cut some more. I'm digging this thing, man. I'm loving it. Now that we're down in the woods, we're going to put it to a different test. We're going to look at different conditions like yopons, scrub oaks, fallen debris, things like that, and we're going to see how it does. You can see how this is what we'll do over here. A little more challenging of conditions than what we were showing previously, so we'll see the versatility as far as like sagebrush and high grass, and then all this type of debris here. Okay, let's get started. this is what you have to be careful about, right? What you don't want to happen is this to pop up and break a hose or bust a hose or puncture a tire or something like that. So the 4-foot wide head isn't as wide as my tire. So I got to really be careful about what this kind of sharp debris is going to do to the bottom side of my tractor. So it's something you got to be thinking about as you're doing this. It eat it up. You know, if I was a better operator, I'd have this thing whipped in a matter of hours, to be honest with you, because it'll do it to it. But I've got, look at all this stuff here. I mean, you know, I got trees laying down, all kind of crazy stuff. Let me show you a little path that it cut through here. So you can see here, I went through here with a cutter, and I was riding on top of this old tree that they cut down. So I mean, you know, you've got some obstacles down here, but it's well worth it. King Welding and Fabrication, they've done a great job on it. I'll be doing a couple more videos on this in the near future, kind of give you an update on how it's performing long term and stuff like that now that I've got a few hours on it. The tractor handles it fine. So go check out King Welding and Fabrication. I'll leave all his information below this video in the description box. Check out his website. Give him a call. He'll answer the phone if you call him. Ask him about the particulars of this. There's a little white circle here. Click that to subscribe. Underneath it is another video that we've done with the Branson Tractor. Click on that. Take care. God bless you guys.